It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and Red Rocks, Nevada? No, I still believe you're in Washington, D.C., and this is CarEdge Live for Tuesday, September 16th, with your hosts, me, Ray in Ventnor City, and Zach pretending to be in Nevada, but he really is in our nation's capital. How are you today, handsome?
I'm doing pretty good, Dad. Happy Tuesday. Glad to be with you. That was a very subdued intro, but, I'm not going to question it. I'm here for it. CarEdge.com, folks. If we can help you out with anything, it's our privilege and our honor. Check it out back at CarEdge.com. Whether you're buying a new or used car, need CarEdge insights, researching a vehicle, one track your vehicle's value, insurance, warranty, even the AI negotiator. We got it all back at CarEdge.com. We do have a sponsor for today's program, so we'll talk about our friends over at Delete Me in just a little bit. But before that, Dad, found a really interesting article from Matt Hardigree over at the Autopian this morning. Why I would wait 2 months to buy a car, but not much longer. We've got this article plus some data from Edmunds that I thought would be interesting to review. But let's start there, Dad. Wait 60 days to buy a car. We're going to talk about what Matt sees here. But do you agree or disagree with that hot take?
60 days. That would put us into the latter part of November and December. I concur. I agree. I think that would be a wise move. Absolutely. And I also agree. I wouldn't put, but not much longer. I would put, but not past December 31st.
There you go, folks. That was today's show from CarEdge. We hope you enjoyed. Sorry, Delete Me. We're not going to be able to do your promotion. No, okay. So, Dad. So
basically, you're telling me the good news is I get paid for doing a whole show, whether we do it in a minute and a half or whether we do it in 30 minutes.
I'm just saying, man.
I'm going to get to the point more often.
And viewership's going to skyrocket. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, Dad. Why is your rationale? And let's actually leave EVs to the side for the moment. None of this, what we're about to talk about, applies to EVs. Just asterisk on this whole conversation. Let's talk about it. Why 60 days? Why is that actually sound advice from Matt? And again, we'll look at his data points in a second here. Why is that sound advice? And then I love this question from Rich. How much cheaper are things going to be in 60 days as well? Those are the two questions I want to start with.
Well, why 60 days? I believe the Fed is meeting today to discuss a possible Fed rates decrease.
Yep.
So that will have a minute impact on current monthly payments. I believe today the average new car rates are about 7% and the used car rates are 10 point something percent. Will they go down significantly? Not significantly. Will as the Fed rates go down and money gets cheaper for these lending institutions, will it become cheaper for the manufacturers to offer subvented interest rates 0%, 0.9, 1.9 to top tier credit users? Yes, it will. So I would think we're going to see to some degree a decline in interest rates and an increase in the amount of manufacturers that are willing to subvent those interest rates to offer low interest rates and lower payments. And as prices go up a little bit, I think we will see the manufacturers, at least towards the end of the year, offer larger incentives both to the dealers and the customers in order to move the metal before January 1st.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think one of the things, that Matt in his article calls out really nicely is we have a growing gap between the average MSRP of a new vehicle and the actual transaction price of that vehicle. And I think this speaks volumes to incentives. The fact that the MSRPs can go up and up and up, but when the vehicle ultimately does not sell, the manufacturer has to step up and incentivize the sale of that vehicle. Blue line here is the average MSRP for a new car. And we're going to stick on this chart for a while because it is insane what has happened. Look all the way back to January of 2021. The average MSRP for a new car was between $40,000 and $45,000. So $42,500. And they were transacting below that, which makes sense. New cars typically do not sell at MSRP. New cars typically sell below MSRP. And then you can see MSRPs have just gone up and up and up. The current average MSRP for a new car that is for sale is over $50,000.
Yes.
It's right there. You can see it. The average transaction price, however, is significantly lower. The average transaction price for a new vehicle is around $48,000.
About 48.5, I think.
Which you can see that gap there is wider than it traditionally was pre-pandemic or even a little bit post-pandemic.
Yes.
And I think, again, that's because we're ultimately seeing the manufacturers having to step up and the dealers having to step up with discounts here.
Well, yeah, because as things have grown tighter for more and more people financially, it means that the manufacturers and the dealers have to step up in order to encourage those who do come in to buy by discounting more than they might have been doing in the past. If you're selling vehicles to a smaller subset of the population, excuse me, then that subset that is available to purchase cars can become a little pickier as far as what type of deal it's going to take for them to say yes. And so some of the leverage has swung back to customers because there's fewer customers, and those fewer customers that are out there in many cases are better informed, and they're using that leverage to their advantage. So I think, I believe the average discount was a little over $2,100. I think we could continue to see those discounts go up to a degree with continued incentives in November and December. I've always felt, having spent 43 years in retail automotive, that the absolute best time to buy a new car, and in many cases even a used car, were the last 2 months of the year, because that's when the manufacturers were the most aggressive with their incentives in an effort to hit their annual sales goals that they set.
Not to mention, Dad, this year we have a slower model year turnover than we've seen in any prior year. The manufacturers have delayed bringing to market their 2026 model year vehicles. If I'm a dealer sitting on a 2024 or 2025 new car, if I'm not getting rid of it around Black Friday or into the Christmas holiday, or especially by New Year's, egg on my face. Like, that is not a situation the dealer wants to be in, nor does the automaker. And so I think that's why I agree with Matt here, and I agree with you. If you're in the market for a new car, waiting 60 days and looking at the prior model year, which is the majority of inventory still for some brands, you are set up for success. We've talked about it for years here on YouTube. The end of the year for new cars is the absolute best time to buy a car. And I think this year we're getting set up really nicely. The Fed rate cut will ultimately drive down interest rates, even for subvented programs, but even more broadly. Will it be massive? Who knows? Probably not. But I think we're seeing, with that prior chart of MSRPs versus average transaction prices, the manufacturers having to step up with incentives, and the slower model year turnover. It's more leverage for the consumer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it just, that's why I agree that, you can wait 60 days, max. What's today? The 60 max, about 74 days. Okay. It gives you have until December 31st to be able to take advantage of what's going on. If you wait past December 31st, you made a mistake.
Let's talk about, go ahead. Sorry.
Your best opportunity is between now and then.
Let's take a moment, Dad, to inform folks on how they can avoid making a mistake. Our sponsor for today's program, our friends over at Delete Me. Now, Pops, data brokers are out there selling our information online, and anyone can buy it. Things like your phone number, social security number, and even your physical home address. They're sold online every single day, and they're available to marketers, scammers, and
the elusive everyone in between.
He hit that line perfectly today, folks. Delete Me which my father and I both use, helps you take control over your data. Delete Me removes your personal information from hundreds of data brokers on your behalf. Every single day behind the scenes, Delete Me is scouring the internet and removing your personal information. Now, you can get started today and get 20% off when you sign up for Delete Me. You just have to use the code CarEdge or click the link in the top of the description, joindeleteme.com. I love how at this point in our show, it has now become a thing to say, oh no, I've been deleted. Do not delete me. Folks, we use Delete Me. We love Delete Me. We appreciate the fact that they sponsor this program and continue to sponsor it. Check them out. It's a good sponsor to have. We stand by their product. Okay, so let's actually do a live experiment here, Dad, if that's okay.
Of course.
All right, so I'm going to go to the CarEdge car search. But
Yes.
before I do, I'm actually going to go take a trip down memory lane really quickly. We were just looking at, if I'm not mistaken, it was yesterday, 2 days ago, something like that. We were looking at the inventory situation for new vehicles. And I got to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Cox Automotive. They just updated their whole data center. So it looks all nice and pretty. We really appreciate that. But the chart I want to look at is right here. August days supply of inventory by brand. Let's go to Ram land. How's that sound? Let's do a live experiment with Ram, and then we can also do Jeep. They were the target of yesterday's show, so we'll start there. So let's say I'm interested. I'm going to go to the shop new up here, and let's start with Ram, like I said. Alrighty, Ram. Let's just look. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. Okay, got it. Let's look at 2024s really quickly. There are 108,000 new Ram vehicles for sale nationwide. Let's just look at 2024s. There are still 3,843 new Ram pickup trucks, or new Ram vehicles that are 2024s out there, Dad. 370, look at these MSRPs, 377 days on the lot. Supposedly only 44 days on the market for that one. I'm not buying that.
Wait. How could that possibly be as a 2024?
Yeah, something really just
really, how could that
around.
Be? Maybe they just dealer traded that truck from another one of their, shifted it from one of their dealerships to another so that they could show it only being in the market for 44 days.
366. This is a tradesman, Dad, but it's got the Cummins engine, so there you go. It's 74 grand. So these vehicles that I've pulled up here.
Yes.
We've got some fleet vehicles, so okay, that's a little bit different. But let's say this one. Let's just hone in on this one.
Okay.
A 2024 2500 Cummins engine. The dealerships had it for 663 days, $84,565 MSRP. If I wait another 60 days, I don't think as a customer I have to be too worried about this thing flying off the shelves, right?
Well, it hasn't flown off the shelves yet. It's probably because it's too heavy.
So, Dad, 60 days from now, if I'm the owner of Chapman, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram in Scottsdale, Arizona, or I'm the general manager, I mean, I'm saying do whatever you got to do to get rid of this thing, right?
Well, one would think so. I mean, you don't want it to celebrate a second birthday. That's number one. So, you have to rule out allowing it to celebrate a second birthday. It is not like a fine wine. It is not getting better with age, especially out in Arizona. Okay. Every year they only experience 120, 130 days where temperatures are 100 degrees or hotter. That's not good. That's not good for the interior. That's not good for lot rot. The rodents in that area love what goes on under the hood. They look at these vehicles and they go, get your family, get your friends, brand new condominium here at Chapman, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram. We got brand new condos for everybody. So you have to check under the hood. You have to make sure the rodents haven't eaten into the wires. Batteries have gone dead. It's only going to get more expensive for them to continue to sit on that truck.
And this is a 2024. I want to just continue because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at 2025s.
So it's about to be two model years old come January 1st.
They already have 2026s out. Dad, it already is. It already is 2 model years old. They already have 26s.
So I would think if it's an $84,000 truck.
Yeah, what price would you be willing to go on an $84,000 truck that's 2 model years old right now?
probably $60,000 to $65,000, perhaps. I think you need to get at least 20% off. So 20% off would be 17 grand. That would take you down to 67. Okay. And I think there's more room because they need to get rid of it. So it should probably fall somewhere between 60 and 65,000, or they can hold it for another year, thinking that, like a fine wine, it's going to get better with age. And in this case, it will not.
Let's do another one, Dad. So that was 2024 model year. Let's
Yes.
just do 2025 really quickly. Bear with me.
I mean, I can't, what are tires going to cost for that thing after it's sat for 700 days?
So think about it. 60 days from now
Yes.
will be what did we say? It'll be October, November. I mean, we're moving into early December. So we're a month out. 60 days from now, we're a month out from 2026. Ram still has nearly 50,000 new 2025s out there for sale.
Okay.
That's a lot of inventory.
It is.
God, look how expensive they get. This is a Ram 2500 Laramie, $90,000.
Well, there you have it. Apparently people in Scottsdale have money. They might not have brains, because if they're spending their money on those pickup trucks, they should be spending. If they're going to spend that kind of money, go buy yourself. I don't know. Go buy a Porsche or something. BMW, but not a pickup truck.
Let's come back here, Dad. So that was Ram, which is kind of like the brand with the worst inventory situation in the United States right now. And you can see there, most of their inventory is not 2026 model year vehicles. Let's do a different brand.
What you just showed was almost 4,000 2024s, and it was 58,000 2025s.
Yep.
So that's like 62,000 of the 108,000 trucks that are out there. So they've only got like 46,000 2026s out. That's they got a long way to go to get rid of that old inventory.
And I don't think it's going to look much better 60 days from now. So let's do a different brand. Let's look at a different brand. Let's do one that's a little closer to the industry average. Let's do Mazda, Dad. You and I love looking at Mazda. They have an 84 days supply. So let's come back over here.
Yes.
So now we're going to change from Ram to Mazda. So we have 85,000. Yeah, I'm just on model year 2025. 84,472.
Yes.
2025 Mazda's out there right now. Let's do this now for 2026. There you go. The number barely changed. So Mazda only has 2025 inventory out there right now, which again, 60 days from now, we're a month out from the whole new year.
Yes.
They're going to eventually need to push their 2026 model year inventory. And you've got some vehicles like this, 138 days on the market. We had Joe Lewis from JC Lewis on maybe a month ago now, maybe 3 weeks ago, talking about his most aged unit. He was willing to go way below the price that he was allowed to advertise online. That's something that he shared with us. Sometimes you're not allowed to advertise an even lower price than you would sell the vehicle for because of some manufacturer rules. So tremendous opportunity, I think, even with a brand like Mazda, which again on that chart is much closer to average inventory levels. There you go. There's a huge opportunity there. And that opportunity only gets better 60 days from now.
And we know in the case of Mazda that the number of CX-30s and Mazda 3s is dwindling, and they are not going to be replacing them at the same rate that they're selling, because they want to push the CX-50, the CX-70, the CX-90s, because they have a higher profit margin in those vehicles, and it helps to offset their tariff expenses. So,
and that doesn't seem to be just a Mazda specific thing. We're seeing Hyundai take an approach we're seeing many of the manufacturers take that approach.
Well, yeah, because they have to figure out a way to be able to eat as much of the tariffs as they can and still maintain a reasonable enough profit margin to keep their stockholders and investors happy. If their net profit drops from 10% or 11 or 12% is what it is for many of the manufacturers, and you cut that in half down to 5 or 6%, that's a significant drop in net profit. And, those who have invested money in the company are going to go, well, get us back to closer to 10%. We're happy, but we're happier at 10%, and we're close to ecstatic at 12%. 5%, 5%, we're okay, but we don't want to be there. So at a certain point, there will be pressure from stockholders and investors for these manufacturers to get back to the net profit margins that they had prior to all this.
The crux in all of it, though, you can keep raising prices, but we know what happens. That's that chart we were looking at before. You keep raising MSRPs, but you get a wider gap between the MSRP and the actual transaction price. And you ultimately get changes in strategy, which I want to hit on here in just a moment. But before we do, from Matthew, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate the kind contribution. But Pop, I can't wait 60 days. The Cayman GTS exited production yesterday, and I got to wire the full MSRP plus taxes and tags, saying no to all the dealer extras, though. All right. So for Matthew with his Porsche, don't wait 60 days. But for everyone else out there thinking about buying a new car, use the next 60 days to be doing your research and time up a great purchase at the end of the year.
I'm pretty sure for Matthew, the vehicle he's buying, there's not going to be any distressed merchandise sales on those anytime soon.
Okay, so let's talk about changes in strategy to try and reconcile this affordability crisis and the need to still make money. We talked about it a bit yesterday. Ram midsize pickup coming in 2027. We talked about the other piece, though, electric truck canceled. This is actually huge news from Stellantis. They have a midsize pickup truck coming in 2027. What's great about midsize? It should be a lower price than their full-size vehicles.
Well, it better be.
And it comes on the heels of canceling the electric vehicle that they had been producing. Also in the same breath, we have Ford cutting 1,000 jobs over in Germany, electric car plant amid weak EV demand. So let's talk about this, Dad. This is Ram's attempt to try and address the affordability crisis. They're producing a new mid-size pickup truck.
Well, if you can't make the full-size pickup truck affordable enough for most people, then the way to counteract that is to produce a smaller mid-size pickup truck at a lower price point at what would have been perhaps the entry-level price point for a full-size pickup just a few years ago. And you see it with Ford. The Maverick sells well. We'll see it with the mid-size Ram pickup. The mid-size Chevy and GMC pickups sell well. Yes, people prefer a full-size pickup, but if you are one of those types of people that has to have a pickup truck, but you can't afford that full-size pickup truck that you yearn for, you might find it more than acceptable to purchase one of these smaller mid-size ones at a lower price point that are equipped nicely and provide you with enough of the utilitarian aspects of a pickup truck that you probably aren't going to be using anyway.
So to your point, Dad, there's pressure to maintain some level of profitability at these automakers on one side. And that would, the easiest way to improve profitability is raise the price. And there's pressure on the other side, which is customers can't afford these price points. I go back to, again, this incredible chart that we have from the Autopian that shows MSRPs, that's the blue line of new cars, and average transaction prices, the red line. They've never been more further apart than they are right now. How do you reconcile that? Try and make high profit mid-size, smaller vehicles. Maybe this is the beginning of a reversion back to smaller vehicles. That would be a beautiful thing, wouldn't it?
Well, there are many Americans out there who would tell you it would not be. For many others, there was a time when what most of your American manufacturers built were referred to as land yachts. They were huge. I mean, the sedans, the convertibles, they were just massive in size and weight and scope. And then, we had oil crises and gas crises, and all of a sudden what became important were smaller cars that got good gas mileage. And everybody was suddenly trying to compete with your smaller Asian cars. And, the American companies came out with smaller cars. And somehow we got away from that, and we got into these big-ass trucks and big-ass SUVs. And I'm pretty sure the average family size hasn't grown as quickly as the size of the vehicles that people purchase. I can understand where people go, well, I need something a little different because I've had a baby. Okay, a baby, one baby. That doesn't mean you go from, I don't know, say a Ford Escape to an Expedition. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to figure out how to live with smaller things that are capable of actually doing the things that we need them to do. You've been in Europe. Cars are a lot smaller there. Streets are a lot narrower.
I wonder though, Dad, could this be a reversion back to that? We're seeing what's interesting about the strategy over at Ram, which is the most easy manufacturer to harp on because they have the worst inventory situation.
Yes.
They're going back to Hemi engines, and they're doing that at Jeep too, and they're going to midsize. Maybe there's a world where you have smaller trucks and bigger engines. I don't know. As a customer, I could get pretty behind that. And again, your point earlier, there's pressure to maintain profitability, and there's pressure from consumers to get better prices. Let's come back to the chat here, Pops. We've got from Matthew. Again, appreciate you, Matthew, so much. Pops, fret not. The flat spot tires. Great used tire market exists. Just replace the Cayenne fronts with new Porsche spec tires for $400 versus $1,200 at the dealer. A great reminder that you can save money on parts and service by not necessarily doing everything through the dealership.
That is correct. Yes.
And then we got here from Softball by Fat. Appreciate this. Great name as well. Thoughts on buying the extended warranty from the dealership when buying a new car? Shop it, please. You can absolutely, of course, buy the warranty from the dealership. Our strong recommendation is shop the quote. You can go to caredge.com/warranty. We have a partner, Fair. They've helped hundreds of CarEdge community members get a great deal on their extended warranty on their vehicle service contract. So please, please, please definitely consider it if you're interested in it, consider the idea of an extended warranty. But before you just agree to what the dealer's selling, get a competitive quote, get one through CarEdge. Go to caredge.com/warranty and at least have that in your back pocket. Do you agree, disagree, Pops?
No, absolutely. The unfortunate reality is that the vast majority of people are financing vehicles, and so they if they go for an extended warranty, in many cases they do it at the dealership because they can put it into their monthly car payment. There are and the dealers know that, and the prices that you're being charged are in many cases significantly higher than what you would pay if you shopped. And I believe Fair does it on a monthly basis.
We do, yeah. That's part of why we partner with them, is they figured out how to do monthly. When we explored doing it monthly, Dad, we were getting quoted interest rates of 20+%. They figured out how to do it way cheaper. So yeah, definitely monthly is a good option. But don't think that you just have to do it at the dealership.
You do not. Even if you wanted to buy it at the dealership, shop on our website, call other dealers that sell that make in your area and say, hey, I just bought X at your competitor, but I would love to buy an extended warranty. What would you charge me? And you might find that they would, especially if the finance manager is close to a bonus level, that they might take a short deal on an extended warranty to hit a pay increase by doing that. So,
yep.
Yeah, shop.
And I see some comments about California. One of the great things about California is it's actually a regulated insurance product there. And so you actually have a set profit margin in the state of California. I remember when we used to operate there, I think it was you could make $300 per warranty or $1,300 per warranty. So, you cannot really negotiate in California. You just have to see if you're working with a group or whoever that's at that higher price point or that lower price point, which is pretty easy to shop. So yeah, California, to a degree, sort of, almost, with flat markups there, protecting those consumers. Let's come here from Rich. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
I worked at General Motors, and they pretty much gave the small car market to Asia. They chased the most profitable vehicles. Yeah, that's what we've seen. But again, I'm coming back to, maybe this is the time, because of the two forces at play, more profits and affordability. And growth in the auto industry is stagnant, Dad. It's not like the car market's growing. The only way to make it grow would be cheaper price points. How do you make cheaper price points and more profit? Smaller vehicles.
Well, and the one thing that we've seen at GM is they have committed greater resources to bringing in less expensive vehicles. There's the Trax, there's the small Buick SUV, there's some small other Chevrolet vehicles. A lot of them are imported from South Korea or China, but they are much lower price points. So yes, at one point in time, they gave that all up. Okay, they absolutely gave it all up just to chase the profits of their big SUVs and their big pickup trucks. And they're at least GM is making a concerted effort to bring in some lower price point vehicles to appeal to a much broader audience.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Look at the Chevy Trax, for example.
Yeah,
that's a perfect one. A couple more comments here in the chat tab. We've got from Bob. Thank you, Bob. Is a 0-down lease realistic for 780 FICO, but cannot prove income?
Well, now when you say you have a 780 FICO, is it auto FICO score or just a general FICO score? Because there are two different FICO scores that they look at for leasing, and they're interested in your auto FICO score. If your past credit history is significant enough to show that you've always handled your credit well and wisely, then even if you can't prove your income, they might not ask you to. So it depends on the depth and breadth of your credit history.
Hearing me, folks, do a quick Google search, CarEdge, what credit score do dealers use? Our guide will pop up right there and can help you out immensely. Also earlier, thank you, Matthew. Appreciate the contribution. Look up car seats as contraception paper. Do that offline. I'll do that offline. Appreciate that, Matthew, for the kind contribution. Eric saying, you always say get the OTD price, but I worry about the percentage of the car loan costs a lot more over the years. Multi-step process here. Yeah. Focus on the OTD, have a pre-approval for your financing, ask for the buy rate. It's kind of like all together. It's not one or the other, it's all together.
Yes. It's a recipe.
Yeah, it's a recipe, and there are multiple ingredients there, not just the one. Okay, Pops, let's call it a show for today. If we can help anyone with anything, of course, CarEdge.com. We've talked about it a handful of times on today's program. We have all sorts of tools, products, and services. If you're interested in our concierge car buying service, hundreds of people every single month take advantage of either our negotiation expert service or our full car buying service. You can check it out back at CarEdge.com. Then just scroll down and click on car buying services right there, or click on some of these other buttons. See where the adventure takes you. Let your heart, drive you.
Let your mind wander.
Yeah, let your mind wander back on CarEdge.com.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, do it all again tomorrow.
I was going to say, we doing this again tomorrow?
Something tells me we'll be here.
I'll be here.
All absolutely. Right, I'll be here too.
Terrific.
Love you,
Thank
Dad.
you, everybody. Love you, handsome.